Hey everyone, this is George Couros with a special edition of the Innovator's Mindset. And one of the things that I truly believe is that innovation really is centered through relationships, how we connect with people. Really, there's no innovation if we don't actually build relationships. If I don't know that you got my back, I don't want you pushing me. And that being said, I know this a podcast is supposed to be focused on innovation, but there's a really human element to the work that we do. And so I'm sharing a personal story about loss. As many of you know, if you follow me anywhere on social media, and I don't share as much as I used to. I don't know why. I don't. I like to read and kind of connect. I'm trying to really listen more than I share. If you do follow me, you know that I've lost my dog Cooper this past week. As I'm recording this, is November 16th. We said goodbye to her on Wednesday, November 13th, and she really peacefully died in my arms. It has really been tough. This has been a really hard year for me. People know this. My dog Odom passed away in February, and I really love my dogs. Like, I really love them. If you don't have dogs, you might not really kind of understand this, but for a lot of people, dogs are like their family. And there's something about taking care of dogs. They're with you the entire time. They don't go off to college. They don't go off on your own. They need you 100% of their lives. And so it's hard. It's hard because you sometimes feel like you failed them. You've done something wrong. So I'm kind of dealing with some of that right now. Did I do it too early? Did I do it too late? I don't think she was really suffering pain, but she had chosen not to eat anymore, which is like a sign for this dog, because this dog like could eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And so, I think I don't know, I'm not okay. I tried recording this other day, just couldn't do it. So, and I wanted to write about Cooper. So I do have a blog that's coming out, about her. And the reason I do that is because it is really important to me that I can share this with my kids one day. They can learn more about their life when they're younger and things that they don't remember. There's a lot I don't know about my family history. And it's not to say my dad was a bad person or anything like that. He just didn't really share much. And I wish I could ask him things now that I don't know. And so you never know when life will end or anything like that. I know it's kind of morbid. So I want to always make sure that I'm creating some of the stuff that if my kids ever wonder about certain things, I remember when we moved to Orlando, and when we moved here, I actually drove here specifically because I would not let the dogs fly. There's no way. They were too old. And I did not, it was one of the best things I ever did, was actually driving with them. It was like a bonding experience, even though I had them for such a long time. We bonded in a totally different way. I walked them every morning. I walked them every night. I still do that with my dog, Suggs, who is here, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But your dogs are not something you just care for. They're part of your routine. I wake up at specific times because of my dogs. I go to bed at specific times because of my dogs. And I actually think it makes me better that every day, no matter how overwhelmed I am, how maybe happy or sad I am, I have to get up because I got to take care of my dogs. And there's something about that really means a lot to me. So what I wanted to do today is I'm going to read you a little bit of my post, but then add some extras. And you might not want to hear it, and that's okay. If you don't want to hear it, some people don't want to hear it because they just want education stuff. And if that's what you want, great. It's not today. Some people don't want to hear it because they can't. I know my brother sometimes, because he's had dogs and it's sometimes traumatic, he doesn't want to listen to it because it brings up really tough memories. And I don't know, sometimes I couldn't watch a dog movie right now. There's no way I couldn't do it. Give me a year maybe. So I understand, but this is not maybe for you as much as it's for me, and I think for my kids, so that they kind of know some of their history. So I started the post with a quote I love, and it's a dog book. It's called The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. It says, that which is around me does not affect my mood. My mood affects that which is around me. And that was the epitome of Cooper. She was just a happy dog, like the happiest dog ever, tail wagging all the time. You could not give this dog, she could do the worst thing ever, and you get really upset. She's wagging her tail. That's how she is. So, and it just melted me. I couldn't do anything. So, but I wrote at the beginning, and I've said this quite often, that it's better to share gratitude for others too early rather than too late. I truly believe that, but too late is better than never. And that was my little amendment to this, and that's part of it, is I'm sharing gratitude. And I mentioned that, I often talk about my dad who passed away like over a decade ago. I tell stories about him all the time. And what I shared, and I think it's really important to me, is that my kids will never know meet my dad, but they'll know my dad. They will for sure know my dad, because the stories I tell about him and the stories I tell about my dogs, it is ensuring that their legacy lives on in us and continues with that. And so Cooper came into my life a little over a decade ago, and I had a dog. My first dog ever was Kobe. He was a little bit of a trouble, and instead of saying like, okay, I give up on him, I'm like, I'll get another dog and see if that works. And somehow it did. And so that was Shaq. And then Kobe passed away, and Shaq was a lonely dog. So I thought I'd get another one, and I got Odom. And it was interesting because there was like a dynamic there, and they got along, but Shaq was the boss. So don't mess with Shaq. And then Shaq actually ended up passing away, and Odom was a little lost. So I decided to look at getting another dog. I got Odom and Cooper from the Edmonton Humane Society, and shout out to the Edmonton Humane Society, like the best. I don't even want to call it a shelter, because it's like a hotel for dogs. It's one of the nicest places ever. And when Odom and Cooper first met, there was like a weird interaction, and it was like a little bit off. And then after that, best friends, just best friends forever. And they just were really, really connected. And we had spent a lot of time together, and they always were with each other. And it was interesting because, as many of you know, Odom got cancer, and you could tell he was kind of getting sick and he was struggling. And basically Cooper would always be near him to make sure he was okay. And it really meant a lot to me. And Cooper was this interesting dog because she didn't necessarily like to be cuddled. She would like to get pets, but if you stopped, she'd like move away from you. And every night, like I'm the guy that likes his dog sleeping in his bed with him. Don't judge. And if you do, don't care. I like it. That's one of my things about dogs. I love feeling, I'll take a bad sleep with the dog all the time. And Cooper was interesting because I would always invite Cooper up to the bed, but she was not having it. And she would always kind of like wait till I fall asleep because I never noticed it. And then she'd like crawl up into bed and she'd sit in the corner. She'd always sit in the corner. And so she'd be like touching my feet just like a little bit, but she always kind of decided where she was. And that was to me something that really meant, because that hits her own personality. Odom was a snuggler. Odom snuggled me all the time. Cooper liked her space, but she'd come see you, and she just was like a really interesting dog. And Odom passed away from cancer, and that's actually Cooper got cancer as well. So did Shaq. And it's really hard because it's like, is this like, I know they've lived really long lives, and you just kind of feel like, what am I doing that my dog's getting cancer? But that's something for another day. And she, like I said, she wasn't eating, and it was really strange because this dog like was trying to steal food a week ago and was known for like counter surfing, and it just it was just really, really hard. And I remember when I said goodbye to Odom, I was really worried about how Cooper would do because they were so close. And I got home and Cooper's fine, just fine, and just wagging her tail. And I'm gonna be honest, it bugged me. It really bugged me. I'll get to more of that in a second, but um, I just didn't understand how could she lose her best friend and be okay with this. And um, what I realized in this is that I don't think she was okay, but she was like kind of put on this brave face to make sure I was okay. And I think there's a little part of me that she said, look, this guy is a wreck. This guy's a wreck. He's having a really hard time. I want to make sure he's okay. I know he'll get another dog. This is a 2-dog guy. And I'm going to help with that transition. And eventually I welcomed Suggs into the house. And you never can replace a dog. They all have their own personalities. But when Odom left, there was like kind of an emptiness in the house. And immediately Suggs filled it. And I think Suggs filled it because he was such a pain. He still is. He's such a pain. He gets into so much trouble all the time. And immediately Suggs this little tree walking coonhound. It's like such an interesting breed and can like get into anything, has an amazing ability to open anything he wants. He opens doors, he does whatever. He's to get like a steel crate because he like can break out of any crate unless it's like welded shut. So, and he's good with it finally, but he always would figure a way. And when he was a little puppy and him and Cooper did not get along at first, and I was really terrified about it. And it wasn't Cooper, it was Suggs. And Cooper is like in your face, like just loves people, loves everyone. And so if you came to my house ever, you were always the best person ever, no matter what. Cooper always made you feel the best person, wag your tail, give you attention, would jump. You'd say like, don't jump. She's wagging her tail. You're like, oh, she's so cute. You can't. So it's just really, really hard. So it was so bad when I first got Suggs between them, and Cooper's here, right? And I purposely didn't want to get too attached to Suggs at the beginning because I'm like, listen, this is Cooper's house. So Suggs has to figure it out. It's not Cooper has to figure it out, it's Suggs because Cooper is here. So it was getting to a point where I'm like, should I give him back? Like, what do I do here? This is so bad. And that is like for me, like one of the biggest failures. Like that would make me feel like such a failure if I actually had to give a dog back because I couldn't do what I needed to do. But Cooper was the primary. So one day it was getting really bad. I said, okay, I'm going to put these 2 dogs in a room. I'm going to be in the room with them and they are going to either kill each other or become best friends. That's it. And basically I just with them until they actually walked out, and they were good ever since. And it was like really, really daunting. And there's a lot of times you can actually see pictures I've posted on social media over time. They became besties. Like they were like really good friends. And it was like interesting because I shouldn't even say besties because Cooper and Odom were besties. Cooper was very caring of Suggs. She was like, kind of a kid. And that was something that was interesting. And the thing that I really, really reflect on about Cooper's life, I think that is really important to me to kind of identify. She loved attention. Boy, did she love attention. She loved her belly being rubbed. She's just such a sweet girl. But you could see if I said Suggs or if I said Odom, her tail would wag way harder. She was just so excited for the other dog. And it was just really sweet. And the reason I bring this up is because I need to get better at that. I love getting attention. Of course, who doesn't love getting attention, right? And we love getting attention different ways, but we want to be acknowledged and stuff like this. But I get frustrated when I feel like I'm not getting attention someone else is. And it's like we have to be excited for others when they get recognition. And that was Cooper. That's like one of my lessons I picked up from her. And so, yeah. And like I said, she was just such a sweet dog. She's always wagging her tail. So last week, noticed some things going on. And then she just stopped to eat. And it's funny because the thing that drove me most crazy about her, I wish she would have done. That she'd always try to steal food. She'd always like bite stuff out of your hand. It took her years to not like chomp on your finger because she was so aggressively trying to get food from you, and she just doesn't have that. And I taught her that, especially when Suggs, like it literally took her almost her whole life. And then she stopped eating, and then you're like wishing for the bad behavior to come back because the bad behavior would have been a sign. And so I knew it was time. And I remember getting her how much she just loved the grass. So I took her like into a field, let her lie down and say goodbye to her. And it was just interesting because, like I said, I think she was really devastated about Odom. And I'm like obviously projecting. This is what's getting me through. But she wanted to make sure I was okay. And I think she's like, okay, I've trained this dog for you. I've given her some good habits. I've given her some bad habits. So I was a counter surfer, a little bit of a barker. Got that from Cooper. One of the things I love about Cooper, she'd go outside and then she'd come to the door and she's like, okay, I'm gonna boop. And she'd just bark until they get her in. And then Suggs wasn't like that. And then Suggs became like that. And she made sure Suggs was good, and then I think she said, okay, it's time for me to be with my buddy Odom, because like Odom and Cooper are like the old couple in The Notebook that die at the end. They're just meant to be with each other. So there's a vision I have that basically, and this is probably why I'm like a little bit better with Cooper passing than it was with Odom, because I feel Cooper did what she knew she needed to do. She just wanted to run with Odom again, be in that field. They were so inseparable. And so I just feel that she's with him right now. And it just again feels empty in the house. And there's so much loudness, there's so much stuff going on, there's so much mischief, and it still feels empty. So I just wanted to share that not only with you, but with my kids, because she was a sweet dog. Boy, she was like my kid, this dog, for me, and she was like a mom to everybody else. She was so good with my kids. They would ride her like a horse, see like where they could stick her fingers in this dog, like everywhere, legit. And she just sat there and just loved them. She just loved my kids so much, and it was just really sweet to see. And so they're missing, and like little Marino would just lie his head on her belly, and she was just in heaven. She was just in heaven, and that's where she is right now with Odom. And I hope they're seeing Shaq and Kobe. But one of the things I want to share this with you all. Sometimes the things that bug us about people, pets, we'll miss them. Cooper loved attention, but she could not stand when the rest of my family was away. So if I was by myself at home, Cooper didn't really have anything to do with me. She'd go park her butt literally against the door so that the second my wife and kids came back, she would know. And it kind of bugged me because it's like, why I'm not good enough? Like, you know, she never knew that for me. But she always waited for my wife and kids. And it bugged me. And if we were all gone, she would do the same thing. And sometimes I would open the door and you'd bang her butt. And it's because she wanted to know immediately when you got home. And she'd wait for you. And then as soon as that door hit her butt, boom, she'd start wagging her tail. And we miss her. She was a really good dog. I know this is not like what anyone wants to hear in a podcast or whatever, but this is my life and this is part of who I am. And I think this humanness is so important to who we are in education, to who we are as people. And I will tell you, Kirk Herbstreit is like horrible. His dog looks so much like Cooper, and I just saw that his dog had passed, and it just gave me. I'm like, oh no, like something's going on. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, that basically dogs are almost perfect, except for they don't live as long as you'd like them to. And that's it. And I was just gonna miss that dog so much, and she meant everything to me. And so I wanted to share that with you. I want to share it with my kids, but I wanted to talk about myself because I'm better because of my dogs. I don't think, and they've saved me. To have something you have to get up for every morning really means a lot. And there's a little bit of reluctance to end this podcast because I feel there's some finality in that. But I think part of it is why I want to share this is because it's always something I can look back on too and see her. She just the sweetest dog. So thanks for being here. Thanks for, I'll get back to the education stuff soon, but I just wanted to share this. Take care.